So, probably my favorite weekend breakfast or brunch to cook is sausage, biscuits, and gravy. It's simple, it's super tasty, and requires very few ingredients. So I just want to go over a few of those ingredients here, and then I will come back and show you what it looks like when it's cooking and what the final product looks like. You'll see not very much things that you have to pick up. You'll need some kind of dairy. I've got milk and half and half. Usually I actually use a heavy cream with some half and half, but you can really use whatever dairy you'd like. The thinner it is, it might take a little longer to thicken up, but whatever you've got in the refrigerator should work. Then the sausage. Now you can go ahead and get a mild or a regular. I really prefer sage sausage for this. That adds a lot of the flavor. So if you're not going to use sage, just be sure that you are ready to add some spice and some herbs to that mix, to your sausage mix, to give it a little kick. Now you can also make your biscuits from scratch, which I do if I have a little more time, but if you're like me and it's in the morning and you just want to eat, grab a can of Pillsbury. Buttermilk biscuits are great, but they don't have to be buttermilk. Just regular old biscuits work too. You also need some flour. Now I prefer to use Wondra flour. It just mixes a little better. I find that it cooks out, that taste of flour cooks out a little faster than if you use normal flour, but you can use that as well. You'll see here I have my salt pig. If you don't have a salt pig in your kitchen, you should get one. They're awesome. You can just reach in, grab a pinch of salt, go. But you see I've got some salt in here because you always need a little bit of salt. And got some ground black pepper and some crushed red pepper. This is definitely optional. My husband loves crushed red pepper. It's grown on me, so I put it in more and more things. Finally, cast iron skillet. Now, I know some of you were saying that's not an ingredient, but let me tell you what. This cast iron skillet cost about $20, and I cook the majority of my meat-based dishes in this Mamma Jamma. It is well over 2 years old and going strong, probably going strong for decades following. If you don't have a cast iron pan, you're missing out. Pick one up, learn how to use it, learn how to properly clean it. That's important. But it is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful for cooking. You don't have to worry about having petroleum-based non-stick pans. This guy gets non-stick the more you use it, and doesn't require you to have creepy chemicals. So, that's the gang. Let's go ahead and make some sausage, biscuits, and gravy. Okay, so after you've broken up your sausage, and I'll keep the recipe is in this blog post, so you can pick up on all the in-between directions there. But after you've gotten your sausage going, you're going to let this cook for about 5 to 7-ish minutes till it gets brown. While that's going, you want to make sure your oven is preheated to 325 or 350, depending on what kind of pan you're going to be using. I'm using a dark pan, so we're going to want to make sure that's at 325. We don't want to overcook the bottom of our muffins. And by muffins, I mean biscuits. Don't mind the pizza stone. We're big pizza fans here, so he lives in the oven. But we're going to just put him downstairs in the bottom oven, since we're not cooking pizza. And we're going to go ahead and throw in some biscuits. Boop. And you do want to get those cooking early on in the process. This entire dish shouldn't take more than 15 to 20 minutes to come together. So it's pretty quick. Anywho, we'll let this keep browning, and I will show you what's going down once we start adding that dairy. Okay, now once you've gotten your sausage nice and browned, you don't want to overcook it, but you want it to be cooked through, you're going to go ahead and grab your 1/4 cup of flour. Again, you can use any kind of flour. I prefer using Wondra. I think that it just cooks down a little bit faster, a little bit easier. You're going to add that to your pan. And then you're going to go ahead and get them sausages covered. So you'll see right away this starts absorbing all that yummy, yummy fat. All that runoff, that oil, that fat that's cooking down. I'm sure there's a better cooking term like render. And you're just going to mix that up a little bit. You're going to see everything gets nice and coated. That's going to help preserve the integrity of your sausage. Let that cook down for a second. Alright. Now, once you've gotten that nice and combined, you want to go ahead and gradually Add your cream, milk, half and half mix, whatever you decided on. It's about 2.5 cups of whatever you end up using. Your proportions and ratios and what you use are up to you and can be just dependent on what you've got on hand in the refrigerator. Alright. I like to add it in stages. Helps with that splashing, and to make sure that I get everything nice and mixed up and we're not getting anything stuck to the bottom or coagulating. That's a fun word. And let's finish it off. This is going to be tasty. Okay, so at this point we're going to let this simmer, and once it starts simmering we're going to go ahead and turn our knob down to medium-low to let it cook slowly. And once that simmer starts, we're also going to add our seasoning. You know, we can actually start adding a little bit of it now. We're going to add a little bit of salt. And then we're going to add our crushed red peppers, which I should have had opened before we started this video. Not too many of them, because again, we've already got seasoning in that sausage, so we're not trying to overpower it. We just want a little bit of a kick. And we're also going to add some ground black pepper. And we're going to keep stirring this. Let all these flavors come together. Let this sauce thicken up into a nice thick gravy. Meanwhile, our biscuits are still cooking. But very soon, guys, we're going to have a yummy, savory, filling breakfast. So, our biscuits are done. Let's go ahead and pull them out. Nice and browned. We're going to let those sit out here and get cooled down a little bit. Remember, again, if you're using a dark pan, that you do the lower temperature of your biscuits. We had done 350 instead of 325. These Mama Jammas would be toasty. But as it stands, they're perfect. And let's check in on our sausage gravy. It looks yummy. So we're probably going to let this simmer just a little bit longer. I like when I pull the spoon through, I want to have a few seconds of delay before that opening that you see there fills in. So we're still a little thin. Again, that's because I used milk instead of heavy cream. So we're going to give this maybe another 3-4 minutes on medium-low heat, just above a simmer. Thicken up a little more. And we'll check back in here in a second. Oop, don't go anywhere, spoon. Okie dokie, so we are ready to go. You'll see here if I pull my spoon through, we've got a little bit of a delay before that cream fills in. That's what we want. And again, if you like your gravy a little thicker, you can let it sit and simmer a little longer, but this is just perfect for what I'm looking for. And don't forget, it's also going to thicken up a little bit as it sits. Your second bowl, assuming you'll have one, because it's super tasty, will be a little thicker than the first. So over here, we've got our biscuits ready to go. I like to pop it open. Get that sausage in there. And we're just going to go ahead and get some out. Yes. Get some of that good gravy. I know, it's a lot of gravy, but it's Saturday, and Trump is president-elect, so we need to indulge. Find happiness where we can. And there we have some super tasty biscuits and gravy. So, full recipe is posted right here in this blog post. Spice up your weekend, make yourself a yummy breakfast.